I had a colleague, Miss Green, and she knew that we was having drama, I guess, at that point in time. I was actually with the M3 class for a double period of drama, and they had worked hard for that double period, or just, I should say, for most of the period, and we had a football game going on campus. I think the boys were playing Whitney, and so we said, you know what, the last 20 minutes, let's go down and support the football game. However, Miss Green comes in and she has this Stop the Violence poster for the Live, Love, Life campaign that the Minister of National Security was hosting, and she is saying, Bailey, we need to do this. Look at this. Like, this is us. You know, spoken word, song, and the like, an original work written by students. And to make a long story very short, ask the students, listen, are we going to go and watch the game, you know, free time, have a break, or are we going to do this competition? Because the cause is important. And also there was a financial prize there for the winners. You know, we're always looking for some extra funds to be able to do stuff as well. So the young people, they decided, hey, let's do the competition. My other apprehension was, the competition was the following weekend. And so I'm saying, how are we going to write something, rehearse it, memorize it, and have this ready in less than a week, and it'd be a really great, refined performance? But nonetheless, the young people, they wanted to do it. So the last 20 minutes of their lesson, I wrote up all of the elements or the items that were on the flyer that they wanted the content to be about for this competition. They had about 5 different themes that had to do with trauma, how it affects families, bystanders, what about the children that have lost their fathers, what about the actual gangs, and the like, just the whole effect of the community. And it was a call for an ultimate message of uniting the community with love and peace. So I divided the class up because we had 20 minutes, so we couldn't do a whole group collective writing assignment. And each peer basically took a different theme and they just wrote. So I just said, write whatever comes to your heart, whatever comes to your mind, whatever your opinion is about that particular element that you have. The two of you just write. At the end of class, it was the weekend, I collected all of their work, and I was just so taken back by the content that they came up with. They didn't have much or any of that teacher instruction for that initial writing assignment. And we came up with just about, I want to say, 6 minutes of content once all of the work was put together. The competition had to, or I should say the entry had to be 3.5 minutes. So I'm saying, oh my goodness, like how am I going to condense all of this stuff? So I took the weekend, I took a little bit from this student's work this year, and I put the items together to make that 3.5 minute performance. Had class with them on Monday. We selected who the students were going to be because there was also a criteria on the amount of students that can enter. It was only 5 students, and I have a class of 13. And they each had their portions that they had to learn over a period, I want to say, of 5 days that week, because the competition was the following weekend. And they did it. I mean, the young people, they came to class and they worked. We had 5 main performers, and then we also had 2 students who operated the technology. So we had a little bit of technical theater in there as well. And those who weren't necessarily on stage, they actually came and supported some of them. And that's basically the evolution of it. And they performed. That was actually their first performance as a class, because they've only been with me since September as one ensemble. And since then, I guess the rest is kind of history. They've been very busy ever since, receiving several invitations to perform, and we've been out to support as many causes as we could.
Were you surprised by what they actually put together and how it showed how they were affected?
Totally surprised. As their teacher, sometimes you just have this lens. Well, for me personally, I'm a theater and drama teacher, so I teach the elements of theater, and that's it. But unless you make that connection with students, I mean, you do that with some of them, you don't necessarily know what they think outside of the actual class you're in, or what they experience right outside their homes, and for some of them in their homes, you know. So it really just gave me an opportunity to just sit back and say, wow, it was truly a product of Out of the Mouth of Babes, you know. They had no rubric, you know, or anything to write, and they just spoke from their heart. And our young people, they have an opinion. They have feelings, and a lot of them are directly connected to the issue of nonviolence, whether it's a family member or it's their neighborhood or if it's someone else that they know, because Bermuda, we're a small community. So I was totally shocked by the content that they actually wrote, definitely.
It often seems like we focus sort of on the adult side of things, that's
Yeah.
where this is happening, but rarely on how it actually impacts children. I mean, through your teaching, how do you think what's happening in the wider community affects students or impacts them?
It has a huge impact because they're looking at us, up to us, and many times a lot of them, they aspire to be us, because that's the example that we're setting for them, It's almost raising children by nurture. So it's very important. And the kids, nowadays they watch and they do know right from wrong. And sometimes when, they see adults not behaving or doing things that they should be doing, like they will call you out and say, hey, well, you tell us not to do these things, but you're actually doing and modeling this behavior. So they know, and this generation is completely different from when I started teaching 11 years ago, because they actually speak about it, they talk about it. And it may not always be directly to adults, but they have conversations amongst themselves. So it's so important that us as the adults, we are modeling the examples and the behaviors that we want for our young people.
Now, what do you hope that the community is going to take away from this message?
Well, I've just recently said this, that I feel like these young people, they've actually given their contribution to the cause of how do we as a community come together to address this issue of violence in our community. And for me, it's not so much saving the sons that are already involved and engrossed and they're already, in the element. And if we can save those, that's awesome and that's wonderful and that would be the perfect picture. But even more so, it's a matter of saving the young people that we have now, and how do we prevent the continuation of it. So I hope that this campaign that the students have come up with, it's an inspiration to other people to take some initiative to buy into something. And how are you going to do your contribution? Whether it's you come and you support and buy a shirt here and then you have your own event. But we as a community really need to come together. I mean, when we talk about the SOS campaign, it's about us as a community coming together in unity. How do we do that? With love. And what's the end result that we want? Peace, The public service announcement that the young people have developed and created, it's free of charge. Everyone has access, use that in whatever manner that you want to use it, and figure out how you can actually be a part or a contributor to how we as a community are going to address stopping the violence, basically. Everybody has a role today. And it's funny because everyone's asking that question, but what do you all do next? What do we all do next? And I'm like, no, but what are you going to do next? Because this is our community, So they've done their part and we're going to do what we can to continue. We have shirts available. We have hats available. We've talked about how we're going to give back to the community. The young people have so many different ideas. They want to give to a whole lot of charities. They also said first and foremost to the school. Here we don't have projector system. We don't have a working theater. They are theater art students. So the funds that we do raise from the campaign, we're looking to upgrade our auditorium. And as a class, the young people decided that they wanted to do something special for the moms group and also for children who have actually lost their fathers to gun violence. So just donate some of the proceeds. They haven't decided or refined exactly what that's going to look like, but they definitely want to do something to the families who have been affected.